excellence and motivation. Always be a champ.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Great Employees Matter, our weekly podcast that focuses on the personal development of employees, the professional approach of employers, and in tandem, that results in more confident individuals, more employee-centric leadership, and greater success for all concerned. My name is Jimmy Bingham, and I, along with my co-founders, Kobe Dumas and Lloyd Dix, are thrilled to be able to have a much anticipated great conversation with our guest of the week, Brian Livingston. And Brian is somebody that I've known for a while now. He is his own business, which is called Traffic Ticket Guru. And in his business, he helps people fight their traffic tickets. And so it's a very interesting business. We won't be talking a lot about that because we're really talking about his employees and his coaching. And hopefully, he might get a couple of leads for coaching from our audience. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kobe. As you know, Kobe always starts these off very insightful, and he's able to draw from our guests those things that we think are really important for people to hear. So Kobe?
Yeah, so first thing I'm going to say is, do I sound okay?
You sound great.
Okay, good. So welcome everybody, the Great Employees Matter podcast. We do this every week at 2:00. So thank you for joining us. Today we got a great guest. It's actually one of our business partners, Mr. Brian Livingston. We're looking forward to talking to you. But before we get into that, if you can make sure you like, subscribe, and share the channel and get involved with us and engage with us, ask us questions, and we're going to be here ready to work and help. So with that, Brian, how are you?
I'm doing great, Kobe. Jimmy, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Lloyd, nice to see you again.
Okay, and Lloyd just popped in, so great. So Brian, first of all, welcome and thank you for taking the time to come on the show and talk with us about your expertise. And I know that you have your own business. You were actually instrumental in helping us get together at BCJK and starting our podcast business and getting that together. You formulated everybody together. So I want to start from the beginning. I know you have an incredible history. Welcome in, Lloyd. I'll get you in there in just a second. As far as your business, I think you were in law enforcement, so we're going to get all into it. So let's start out with a little bit about who is Brian? Who are you? Welcome to the show, and tell us a little bit about you.
Well, who I am, most importantly, first of all, I'm a husband, I'm a son, I'm a father. I've got two wonderful girls. I've got an amazing wife. As you said, I am a former police officer. I got into policing. I was there for 5 years, and I'm very upfront about it. I kind of hit the emotional wall, let's say, and had some PTSD issues, traumatic, and really wasn't able to go back to policing. And so I kind of found myself involuntarily thrust into entrepreneurship 23 years ago. So that then kind of led my way into, business. As I tell people, I was stupid enough to make every mistake you could, not just doing it once. I think I did them all multiple times just to make sure that I really perfected the way of being able to do business the wrong way. But ultimately, I found my way through it, and I'm very pleasantly out the other end of things. And now I really work with other business owners to kind of help them through the pitfalls so that they don't have to repeat the errors that I made.
Okay, well, man, you got you said 23 years of entrepreneurship, 5 years law enforcement. So I think it's clear why you would go into a business of where you're really serving people, because I know you have another business besides our podcast. Even before our podcast, you had a business or have a business, and I think it's Traffic Ticket Guru. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so running that business, tell me a little bit about that business.
Well, basically what we do is we fight traffic tickets for people, just to put it bluntly. We go to court, we represent our clients. A lot of people really don't understand the effects that it can have on their insurance. A lot of people, though, it can really affect their livelihood. It can affect their job. They can lose their job. We've had people that literally have depended on us to, help them keep their kids, help them keep their house, sometimes even save their marriage. So, there's, a lot of people just go, oh, it's just a traffic ticket, but the repercussions of them can be so severe and long lasting that people hire us to be able to represent them in court to, literally save them, in a variety of different ways and give them the peace of mind so that they can go about continuing to live their life while they know that they can be confident in the fact that we're representing them properly in court.
Man, that's two different areas. You went from law enforcement to the other side of helping people with their traffic tickets. What would make you make that decision and get into helping people with traffic tickets? Did that come from your law enforcement background, or?
Oh, it's funny because, honestly, the way it started was I needed a job, and I drove past a billboard that was like, fight your traffic ticket. So I was like, wow, these guys must be incredibly well qualified if they're going to court and doing this. But all of my previous police officer experience was traffic related. I used to teach collision investigation and traffic law at police college. I was a traffic officer. I was what's considered a court-recognized expert for collision investigation. And so I made a phone call just to see, wow, maybe my qualifications might be good enough to work with these guys. And the next day, all of a sudden, I was buying into, a licensing agreement. And I found out through going to court that nobody else had my qualifications. And suddenly I was like, wow, I'm kind of at the high end in terms of qualifications for this. And it really just expanded from there.
That's awesome.
And so anyways, yeah, that's it in a nutshell, really, Kobe.
So that's awesome. So I'm going to ask you, I have a question prepared to take us into what we do for Jim. Yeah. So, we always cater to employers and employees. Our employee program is really a personal development program disguised as a program to improve you as an employee, but it's really a program that you can literally take everywhere and improve many areas of your life. So, but the question that I have for you is that what key qualities do you believe make a employer great, and how do you embody these qualities in your leadership?
That's an awesome question, Kobe. And I think it goes back, first of all, to, what my first exposure to the traffic ticket industry was watching a guy who I had to work with because he was kind of the licensed franchise owner of the name. I watched him how to do it wrong, right? Every step along, he alienated his employees. He made everybody in court angry. So I really got to watch him do it wrong. And that really, set the example of, this is not a way I will want to do business once I am an owner. Right. And so it really made such a mark on me as to how, you really have to treat your employees well. You have to give them the opportunity to grow. Like the ability to be able to make more money, the ability to be able to see a pathway to promotion. And this guy did everything possible to just make people hate him. Ultimately, I got screwed over in the licensing agreement with this gentleman. And I swore when I had the opportunity to do it, I was going to do it differently. Now, I don't know, and I'm so lucky that I have you guys to be able to work with, because you guys are such a great example of how you need to interact with the employees as an employer, right? You guys are just such a great example of it, and what you do, that I learn from you guys every time I have a conversation with you, and I'm grateful for it.
With that segue, Jimmy, I'm good with questions right now. I'll let you go ahead and take over.
All right.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the business coaching side of it. Clearly for the audience, Mr. Livingston here is creme de la creme, the traffic guru, traffic ticket fighting industry, because of his background, because of his knowledge. But to enhance that, he also is a certified business coach. And we're both certified together at the same time. And he is so good at it and stood out so much ahead of the rest of the class that he was invited to become an elite coach. And so I work with two elite coaches, Brian and another gentleman, Torres, and they are absolutely the best. So Brian, how do you see your business coaching certification helping you both with traffic ticket guru and with your business coaching? How do you meld those two together?
Well, it's funny because, when we're talking about the elite coaching and everything, that's where I met you, obviously, Jimmy, and it made such an impression on me, first of all, because I took what we'd learned and I applied it to my own business. What was going on when I came out of COVID, I really expected there was going to be a huge pop right to the business, because everything is going back to normal. And honestly, for traffic tickets, the cops were literally instructed, unless you see something so severe, don't pull them over, because everyone was afraid of getting COVID and dying, right? So the traffic tickets were just not being issued, but there was still enough being issued that we were still able to maintain the status quo, right? So when everything got back to normal, I really expected there to be a big pop, and there wasn't. And so I figured, I'm doing something wrong. I've got to find, there's something different in the industry now in terms of marketing and everything. I've got to figure that out. And so I kind of dove in, did a deep dive. I'll let you volunteer who it was that I learned from, but I applied it, first of all, to my own business, and all of a sudden my business skyrocketed. It absolutely, like, literally fourfold now we are going to do this year over what we were doing 2 years ago. And so that really led me into the coaching side of things, because I'm a former basketball player. I love coaching. Like I said, I was an instructor at police college. I love teaching. I was an education major in university. So I always loved the instructing side of things. And I was given the opportunity to be able to ask and learn from as you said, like, some of the top people in the industry and around the world, right? Which really was just such an opportunity. I couldn't pass it up. And, to be able to learn from these people, we're literally coaching and instructing multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar industries and businesses. I couldn't pass it up. So I was really able to see happy employees. I was able to see motivated business owners. And the way to be able to do it was just incredible. And now I'm able to pass that on to the businesses that I work with, and also to the businesses that I run.
Well, as you know, we are very employee-centric focused, right? We're here to help the employees. Our adage is that you need to be accountable to yourself for yourself, not for the employer. Because if you're accountable to yourself, then you will naturally be a good employee for the employer. You'll be a good leader in that you'll be leading by example. So that's our core. So let me ask you this. In your business coaching engagement, are you finding businesses are very open to your coaching and instruction? You're an outstanding coach. You have a knack for being able to listen first. You're very good at listening. And two, your delivery, your presentation is such that it causes people to pay attention to you because you come across as an experienced authority, not just a book learning authority. And you are, given your coaching experience, your athletic coaching experience, your owning your own business. You're just natural. But sometimes business owners get affronted when coaches like you and I go to them and say, "Look, you need to change your way. It's not your employee that's the problem. It's equally your fault, if not more your fault." For not creating that environment. So do you find that the coaching opportunities that you have had lend themselves to be supportive of the employee, or do they require that you be more supportive of the employer?
Well, first of all, I always point the finger at the employer because they set the example, right? And sometimes it's a harsh wake-up call when you have to sit down and explain to the employer that you're doing things the wrong way, right? And sometimes they don't want to hear that, and sometimes that can end the entire coaching experience right there, because if they're not open to change, there is absolutely no purpose in moving forward, because nothing is going to change. And I'm not going to serve a purpose with their business. And then what's going to end up happening is they're going to walk away from the experience going, business coaching doesn't work. This guy says it does and it doesn't. And especially when I represent, some very reputable names across the world, a couple of them, honestly. I've always got to make sure that the people that we work with are open and understand that it starts and ends with you. Yes, the employee has to take responsibility for themselves, but ultimately you're the one that's got to teach the employee how to take responsibility for themselves.
Very good. I agree. Kobe is a business coach as well. He's been a coach probably longer than we have, actually. And we both have experiences where we've had to terminate a relationship with the customer because they weren't being receptive. And we would just say, "Sorry, this isn't working out for us." We refund the money and say, "You need to find a different coach or a different type of coaching if you're not going to be open to listening to what we're actually doing." I was just curious about that. I think we have a little bit of an extra, so I'm going to turn this over to Lloyd, so he has his Lloyd question.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hey,
Nice
Lloyd,
to
how
meet
are
you.
you?
I'm doing okay. I heard a lot about you. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Well, hopefully I don't embarrass you.
Not a chance of that. That's as the other two will tell you. That's my job.
We'll make a good combination.
So, Brian, one of the things that I wanted to focus on, if you don't mind, a frequent topic amongst us is the necessity for communication. And it seems to me like you've been in some businesses where communication is not only important, in a lot of ways, it's the only thing. It's what sets you apart. So the first question I wanted to ask was, since a lot of your work is done remotely or done through electronic communication, can you tell us any tips for those people who may have employees who are working remotely, or for business associates where you don't necessarily meet the customer face to face, but you're communicating through the internet or through some electronic means?
I think that the first thing is responsibility, right? You've got to set clear expectations and what's required, whether that's of your employee or whether or not that's of your client, right? But then you need to follow up to make sure that that stuff is being done. And it doesn't mean that you're sitting there staring over their shoulder, making sure that they're getting things done. But there does need to be follow up. But then there needs to also be appreciation of when they're doing the job properly. And even with my clients, like I've had multiple clients today who have hired us. It's been a very, very busy day on the traffic ticket side of things, but I still have to follow up with them. There's certain documentation that I need. There's certain signatures that I need. And I also have to teach the people who work with me to make sure that they are getting those things. But I've also got to give them enough leeway that they're going to be able to make sure that they're doing those things as well, and just reminding them without, honestly being a jerk about it. There's no point in being a jerk. They learn from mistakes, right? But let's kind of make sure that those mistakes are not being repeated. So, it's a bad way of saying it, but you've got to give them enough rope to hang themselves. I hate that saying, but you've got to be able to give them enough of a tether that they're going to be able to go out and learn and experience and understand that it's okay if you do something wrong, because we can always fix it.
It's one of my favorite sayings is always that experience is the one thing where you get the test first and the lesson afterwards. And that really seems to be true. Do you handle all the communication and all the praise yourself, or do you delegate that? Do you use a third party to keep in contact, like Constant Contact or something with your prospective clients or employees?
We don't use Constant Contact or anything like that, but we do follow up via text and email. But a lot of that is delegated to the other members of the staff in terms of putting together the documentation. Obviously they are trained before I let them go into court. I'm also very picky about who I hire, because normally they do have a lot of court experience. I honestly, the gentleman who runs our one other location, I lucked out. Jeremy Bays is an absolute godsend. So if he's ever going to listen to this, I'm so appreciative of you, because he, as much as it shames me to admit it, the results that he gets out of court are absolutely incredible. It honestly, it embarrasses me. So incredible. But I also had to make sure that he was set up to be able to do that. But he's outgrown anything that I could really teach him.
That's great. Congratulations.
I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, I just had one more question. It is my patented Lloyd softball question. Okay. The question that doesn't require any kind of thought and comes to you right off the top of your head. How do I not get a traffic ticket? What do I say? Do I make the cop laugh? My wife has the innate ability to never get a traffic ticket. Somehow the cops just aren't as nice to me. What's the magic secret?
Well, the magic secret, first of all, is don't break the law.
Oh, darn. Who would have thought of that?
That's always the easiest one to go with right off the bat.
God, that never occurred to me.
Yeah, it's funny because I have clients call in and they'll have gotten a speeding ticket for I'm up in Canada, so it's kilometers, but I'll move it over into miles. They'll be like, well, I was just going with the flow of traffic. And I'm like, you got caught 30 miles over the speed limit. I'm not sure what line of traffic you were in, but I've never experienced that. So it is kind of funny when we get these people calling in and, I'm getting picked on, or all of these things. And sometimes they are. and we know when they are, and we're familiar enough in our areas that we usually know the cops too, right? But the easiest thing is don't break the law. But second of all, be nice. Like it's an awesome bar story to be able to say, I told that pig to, suck it and all these other things and going off. And that's an awesome bar story. But the thing that ends with that bar story is a pile of tickets in your pocket, right? And so just shut up. Be nice. Chances are if you've been pulled over, you're going to get a ticket. Okay. It's a very high likelihood. The cop has probably made that decision before he's ever even walked up to the vehicle. Okay. But you still have a chance through politeness, okay, and doing what you're asked to do, that you may walk away without a ticket. Exactly. 10 and 2, you listen to what they're saying. If you're going to reach, especially, oh my gosh, down in the States, if you're going to reach for your glove box, you better dang well ask for permission first.
Okay, you know what? Hey, actually, guys, I think I'm a professional on this one. I'm from California, and I know the 10 and 2. I've never been to jail, and I can support you on that comment that you said, Brian, that they probably made the decision of getting a ticket before they even get to the car. In my case, as soon as they see me, oh, that guy's getting a ticket. I don't care what I'm doing. I agree with that 100%. But you just got to be nice. I stay out of trouble because I'm nice. I was surrounded out here by cops one day because they pulled my car over for expired tags. It was a rental. And I told them, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I rented a car from a legal place. But they had my car surrounded. I thought I was going to get shot that day, but I didn't. I was nice. So I asked for a sergeant. They came out. They took care of it. They didn't tow the car. They told me to go take care of it the next day because it wasn't my fault. I rented the car.
As much as I'd love to say that race doesn't come into it, it does. I see videos all the time, and I'm disgusted by the attitude of the police, and you've got to be careful, but understand that in all likelihood the police are wanting to walk away from this encounter just the same as you're wanting to walk away from the encounter. Okay. And that's the biggest thing. And so I teach people, I say, especially if you're going to want to fight the ticket, shut up. Okay, make yourself as immemorable, I don't even know if that's a word, or non-memorable as possible. Because the bigger of a jerk you are, the better the notes they're going to take.
Yeah, facts.
Okay.
Well, let's go to questions. I know Sachi, as usual, she came through and had a question. What do you think employees need most from employers today to thrive both professionally and personally? Forward thinking.
Honestly, they need the opportunity to be able to see progression in their business, or they need to understand from the employer that if there is no means of progression, they need to understand that they've got the support of the business owner, that eventually the business owner wants them to outgrow the business and be able to move forward and do better in life.
That's awesome. Big shout out to Fred Brown in the comment section. I know him from California a long time ago. We did some work together, man. Appreciate you. You're a great worker as well. Thank you for watching. Shout out to Illy Corleone coming in, and great worker as well. We worked together down at Studio Talk with John Jay. We appreciate you guys coming in. Like, subscribe, and appreciate the support. Just want to shout you guys out. And we got another question coming in from Dale Shelton. I constantly say thank you for their service to officers no matter where I see them, and I really mean it. A cop pulled me over once and remembered me thanking him at a coffee shop and let me go. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, Brian, on that?
Oh, my thoughts? Well, exactly, right? When I see officers, like if I walk into a convenience store or I walk into a Starbucks or something like that, if they're in line, I always pay for them. They don't know me or they do know me or whatever. I literally tell them, I go, your money's not good here. And I had one guy go, well, I'm reloading my Starbucks card, right? And I said, that's fine. That's on me. Like it's a very, very difficult job. I'm not saying that other jobs aren't out there that are difficult, but it is such a difficult and stressful thing because you're constantly on edge all the time because you have to be, because you never know when that threat is going to show up. And a little bit of appreciation goes a long way. You may not agree with that, but you just saw the comment from Dale that, it goes a long way. It really does.
Yeah, and that's Dale's nature, right? He is intensely aware of those things that bring a cause for gratitude to his life, and he's very gracious in his entire life. And a shout out to Dale. I don't know if he wants me to tell his age, but today's his birthday. So a very big happy birthday to Dale. We want to know his secret. He looks like he's about 52. He's actually older than I am, and I'm 68. So, happy birthday, Dale.
Good looking 68, Jimmy.
Thank you. Only my hairdresser knows for sure.
At least you can still go to one.
True that. Let's see, where are we time-wise? I want to make sure that, good, we're in good shape. So another question I have for you, Brian, is in our coaching, it is all too common that the employer at some point forgets how important the employee is to their organization, right? And they forget to recognize them, and they forget to show their appreciation for them. What do you think is the biggest contributing factor to that oversight?
Too many employers look at it and they go, successful if I didn't have to have employees, right? And so they constantly look at their employees as a frustration point, right? And what they don't realize is without your employees, you become the CEO of your business, which is the chief everything officer, right? And these employees are the ones that are making your business happen, but you look at them as your source of stress. And if you can just change, the attitude starts with you. The attitude of the entire business starts with you. And if the head of the business is disrespectful and regrets their employees, that attitude is just going to come back at them tenfold. And they're going to continue. They're going to have continual staff turnover, which results, as you know, Jimmy, in increased cost because it costs to train a new employee every single time. But you're going to be constantly stuck in this never-ending circle of grief. But you're the one that's causing it.
Yep, they take their eye off the ball and they just forget how important their employees are. The employees are the front line, right? They deal with your customers. They are your company, so you need to treat them with respect. That's what we try and teach.
Well, and you guys do such a good job of it. And like I know for a fact, like I have my daughter Alyssa who handles all my marketing. Right. Yeah. And I'd be lost without her handling all of that. And, what happens when, I make her angry is, you know what? I'm no longer got a marketer.
Right? And you're right. She is very talented and very valuable.
Yeah. Don't make people angry. That's the name. That's the moral. Just don't make people angry.
Yeah. It's so easy to be polite. But yet they treat their employees like, well, I pay you, therefore, right? And that's such a bad way of looking at things.
Yeah.
right?
Well, and let me flip that a second then. So in defense of employers, and I don't know whether it's age specific or not, because the millennials tend to get blamed, and then the next generations beyond that, Gen Z and whatever this new one is. There are a good number of employees that have a mindset that, okay, now I have a job, right? I've been hired. The job owes me, right? The job owes me a paycheck. The job owes me vacation time. The job owes me whatever they feel. And so they don't take the time to show the employer that they're as valuable as they are. And we do a lot of that, right? We work with those employees.
Oh. Lost volume.
For those employees that have that attitude or that mindset, what's the easiest way to get them to better engage with their employer?
Well, I think obviously you've got to set the tone, and you've got to lay out exactly what's expected of them, right? So once again, I think it comes down to the employer of setting the standard that's required, right? Like, I know how you brought up that I was able to move on to this elite status with this one coaching program. Well, holy crow, I know exactly what is required of me, right? And so if you set the standard of what's required, then unfortunately sometimes if the employee is not going to reach that standard, then as much as I hate to say it, sometimes a shot across the bow is needed, right? Mm-hmm. If you're not meeting the standard, then that person has got to be let go. Mm-hmm. Right. And it kind of lets the employees know as well, okay, well, as long as that standard is not unreasonable. Like I know one business coach who brought on a VA, and I talked with the owner of the VA company, and this coach wanted them doing 1,200 outreach phone calls in a week. And along with all their other VA duties, it was physically impossible for them to get it done. Mm-hmm. So, you've got to make sure that your demands are not unreasonable, but you've also got to set a standard. And then the employee's got to know that they've got to fulfill that standard.
Mm. And as we learned from our good friend Sherry from the GC environment, yes. Sherry makes it very clear that if you are clear as an employer about setting those standards, of establishing the expectations, of measuring them, of reporting back to the employee where they're doing well or where they need improvement, then if you get to the point where you have an employee that does need to be let go, it's really easy. Right? Jimmy, do you remember when we met when you first got hired here and you agreed that these were the things that you were willing to do? And I agreed that I would give you the direction to be able to fulfill those goals. And you recall that we've had 3 meetings now where you haven't lived up to those expectations. I apologize, but unfortunately, this just isn't the right environment for you. And so it makes that termination process a lot easier as well for the employer. Would you agree?
Yeah, most definitely, right? If you've set the standard and there are others who are achieving that standard and one person is just refusing to, despite multiple opportunities where they've been given the opportunity to grow and succeed, then it's in everybody's best interest. You're not doing the employee any favors either by letting them scrape by at less than the bare minimum. They're not, they need that wake up call, and they're the ones that have brought it on themselves, unfortunately.
Right. And that's how this conversation goes. You just have that conversation with the employee and shake their hand and wish them well in their future endeavors. Right?
Yep.
All right. Kobe's been pretty quiet. Do you have any other questions, Kobe? before I'll turn it over to Lloyd after you.
Yeah, no
see if he
worries.
has any
No, I
questions.
actually wanted to. I'm back here handling technical stuff. We're still going
okay.
through that, but everything's great. But I do want to get into some more questions. We formally started doing business together a few months ago and came together because of a project that required the need for the services that we put together. Let's talk a little bit about that journey, about how we came together, because I think it's important. I think that you were instrumental in bringing us together. We started with a morning meeting, 6 o'clock in the morning, for motivation, and then a few weeks after that, as far as I would call that a mastermind. Us just getting together and motivating each other in our own journeys, which I think is incredible. But through that, we built a full-fledged company. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's give some shameless plugs to that first before we go into the rest of it.
I'd love to. BCJK is absolutely phenomenal. If one of the biggest things that people don't understand in terms of getting in front of their ideal employee, their ideal customer, is podcasting is by far the best way to be able to do that, because you can pick and choose who your guest is going to be. And so you can literally go and find your guest and bring them onto your podcast. And then all of a sudden they get to like you, they get to know you, they get to trust you. Then they're going to do business with you. And so that's really what our basis has been all about in terms of being able to do that. And you guys do such a great job of it with your own podcast, right? And I do it with my own podcast. I have had the biggest business opportunities come as a result of running my podcast, and that includes being with you guys. And we, like you said, we really were able to put together a mastermind group. The opportunity first came from a gentleman by the name of Chris Smith, and Chris Smith had an opportunity drop into his lap, but we needed to be able to have certain other members because everybody brought strengths to it. And so as soon as Chris told me what the opportunity was, and he'd reached out to me, I immediately knew that the two missing members of our group were you, Kobe, and Jimmy, and Lloyd. Honestly, Lloyd has also been able to help us with some great legal help as well. So really, it was all of you combined. But a shameless plug to BCJK. We're going to show you the right way to set up a podcast to be able to grow your business. There's absolutely no question about that. So shameless plug, but that's also an honest plug.
Love it. It is an honest plug.
Love that.
And kudos to you, Brian, as president of BCJK. You've taken all of your combined skill sets and talents and have gathered what we believe is the right group, and that we're committed to doing the right job for our customers. And that includes hiring the right employees to provide the services. For those of you that are viewing this live or view it later, one of the biggest challenges of podcasting is the back end work, right? The back office stuff. Everybody loves to do the podcast, right? We do this. Yep. We get to talk. We get to have engaging conversation with people. But podcasters that don't understand how much work is involved on the back end get frustrated really quickly. And so thank you to you, Brian, for pulling us all together and giving us this great opportunity.
Well, you're very welcome. I'm honestly the fortunate one of being able to know you guys, because I'm more than willing to admit where my weaknesses are, and I have a ton of them. Right? Like there's, and you guys, were the perfect fit, right? For all of it. But you're completely right in terms of podcasting. People start off a podcast and then they don't know what to do with it, right? They don't know how to do it. They don't understand the back end of it. They don't understand how frustrating it is. And that's where we, first of all, we teach them how to do a podcast properly, how to grow your podcast, how to grow your business through using your podcast, right? but we also handle your back end, right? So that you don't have to deal with that frustration, and being able to have, no offense to yours and my awesome technical skill set, Jimmy, but to be able to have somebody like Kobe on the back end to know that it's always being done right is phenomenal. Like Kobe is just a god on the back end of things. Like he really is. He's phenomenal. So thank you, Kobe, for I know that you're there. Like he's, like gosh, Jimmy, between the two of us, we can't fill a thimble.
For sure.
You guys are funny. Thank you, Brian, for that. It's no worries. I know we're going to help a lot of people.
Yep.
I'm going to give a shout out to Ronald Ryland out there. Ron, call me, man. We're in the same city. Let's get together and have coffee. And then Dale has another question before we get to the shameless plugs for yourself. Dale says, anger seems to be started by fear. What is your best tool to reduce fear factor as a manager? That's a great question, Dale. As always.
Okay, well, am I fielding that, or am I leaving it to the end?
No, it's for you.
Okay, well, for me, it's that you've got to make sure that the employee is comfortable, and that they've got to know that it's okay to screw up. That's one of the biggest things. Like, and I learned that really back from basketball. We had this guy who literally went over to Europe, and after we were done playing college ball, and he dominated the European league, and this league he was in, and he ended up being the MVP of the league. But he was so scared of our coach that he literally would look over at the bench before thinking whether or not he was going to take a shot. And because he knew if he screwed up, he was going to get pulled back onto the bench. And he was such an amazing player, but he was scared crapless. And so as a result, what do you think he did? He missed, right? He missed. The coach was mad, and he got pulled back to the bench. And it was just, holy crow, give him the opportunity to make a mistake. And
too much pressure, yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. I think that we get through life by getting through failures. And people are so afraid of failures. And I train people to utilize them because they're clues as to that you need to make an adjustment in order to fix things and get on the right track. I don't know anybody that's built big business, and I know some pretty wealthy friends. I've had some pretty wealthy mentors, and some of my peers, and everybody fails their way to success. And some people look at that as a negative, but it's part of the journey. And that's one thing that I teach. And if we learn to embrace the failures and to shake it off and to know that we can continue, I think it's the way to go. I always tell people, if you're standing here today and you're looking at us today and you're having a conversation with us today, you are 100% effective at overcoming every challenge and failure that's come your way. Stand on that instead of breaking down when challenges that you're faced with comes in front of you. And then I'm gonna pass the mic. Lloyd, you have to unmute yourself, Lloyd. It won't let me do it.
Here we are. Brian, I was just going to say that you and I have a lot in common talking about basketball, and then how some of the failures came through. After all, I had Clippers season tickets for 25 years.
Wow, I'd have gave up after the first year, but anyway.
Story goes, they had so few fans in attendance that you would call down to the arena and say, I'm going to be running late tonight. And they would say, what time can you be here?
Wow.
We'll hold on until we start.
How late you going to be?
Yeah.
We'll see what we can do. I just wanted to say thank you for coming on and for bringing your wide variety of expertise to us. Before I let you go, one of the things that you really seem to be emphasizing is the importance of follow through. it permeates everything that you say, that you have to follow through with your customers. You have to follow through with your employees. Is there some trick to making sure? A lot of times I find that that's one of the areas of the most miscommunication. The employer thinks that he's communicating effectively with the employee, and in fact, he really isn't. And so if you could just address some of that, I think that'd be a great tip for the audience.
Right off the bat, know your numbers, right? You got to know your KPIs, and you should be able to recite them, right? And so if you're missing on sales, or if an employee's missing on sales, well, you should know, because the numbers are reflecting that, and then you can go and address that, and you can see where the mistakes are being made. In terms of follow up and follow through, holy crow, what people don't understand, and this is a stat, okay? 80% of sales are made through the 5th to the 12th contact, okay? But half of all businesses never even nurture a lead, okay? They pay for the lead, and then they don't even do anything with the lead. Okay, so if you can teach your employees follow up and follow through, 3/4 of the battle is already won right there. But know your numbers. It's that simple, and address them quickly if you know those numbers are not being met.
When I had a large team, that brings up with follow up. That's a great comment, Lloyd. I used to coach that the fortune is in the follow up period. And if you're going out doing all that work and you're not following up with people and engaging with people and having a conversation with people and stand by their side from when they need it, then you're not doing what Carl's Jr. is doing. You're not doing with all of these people that are advertising on a regular basis. They're in your face all day, every day, on radio, TV, commercials, ads, driving by, billboards. They're in your face. So I think that people should operate in that same aspect. I just wanted to kind of piggyback in on what Lloyd was saying. So no, that was a great answer, Jimmy.
So Brian, this is the section of our podcast that we have every podcast, and we call it SSP, shameless self-promotion.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you how to do that for yourself by doing a shameless self-promotion of BCJK. So any of you in the audience that have any questions about podcasting at all, or know of anybody that is a podcaster that might be struggling, please go to our site, the BCJK Inc. .com. And there's an opportunity to sign up for a consultation. We have a free book on there that they can download that teaches them about podcasting. They can join a Facebook group. So if you have any questions about podcasting at all, go ahead and go to the site that is on the screen, and we will help you out. So Brian, here's your opportunity to do a little SSP, both for Traffic Ticket Guru and for your own personal consulting.
Well, I appreciate that, Jimmy. First of all, I'm going to echo BCJKInc.com. Like I said, the best thing that you can possibly do for your business is grow a podcast properly, because it puts you in front of the ideal client. You want to see how easy it is? It's this easy. Hey, I just wanted to reach out. I'd love to have you on my podcast. You know how many business owners go, wow, free publicity? Mm-hmm. Almost all of them. Okay. So, and like I said, it has led to my biggest business opportunities in my life. So BCJK is going to show you how to do it properly, and you're going to make money doing it. That I can tell you. Okay. Next of all, in terms of the Traffic Ticket Guru, we're based in Alberta, Canada, but here's the thing. We are launching a brand new product where we will review your disclosure, which is all of the evidence against you, which you have the right to have. And thank you, Kobe, put the website there. It's actually, he's close. It's the trafficticket.guru. So you don't need the .com. It's www.thetrafficticket.guru. And if you request your disclosure, we will actually do a Zoom consultation recorded with you, where we will review your disclosure and give you the best advice as to how to be able to beat your ticket and how to approach the prosecutor, how to approach the judge. We will prep you so that you can represent yourself on your own anywhere literally in the world, as long as you can get a hold of the disclosure. Evidence is the same. It doesn't matter what state, province, city, country you're in. So you can go there and it's $97. And we will do a full disclosure and a 15-minute recorded Zoom call. So you don't even have to take notes. We'll send you the recording afterwards to get you prepped to be able to go and represent yourself in court. Okay. And that's anywhere. So it doesn't matter. I don't care. California. I've got a guy right now who's got a ticket in California. I had somebody who reached out to me from Taiwan. So anywhere in the world we can help you out. In terms of the business coaching, it's mymentoring.guru. Okay. I don't take a lot of people, but I will have a consultation with you because we've got to see whether or not we're a fit. Okay. But we do have different ways of doing it. You can come, we can do what's called, I've got my open office hours, where if you just have some questions, you can come in through that. We do group coaching, but I also do some select one-on-one with people if I feel that we're a fit and we're going to be ready and they're going to be ready to really want to grow. But honestly, guys, I don't mean to be rude, but I don't screw around with the people who are part-time who think they might want to. If you're not 100% dedicated, I can't help you get the result that you think that you want if you're not prepared to put the work in. You don't put the work in.
That's what makes you an elite coach, right?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But it's the same thing with you guys. You guys are phenomenal. Okay. First of all, people don't be looking at mymentoring.guru. Go to you guys. Holy crow. Okay. Great employees matter. You guys are absolute studs of the industry. Okay.
Thank you.
So, you guys, like, honestly, you guys, the people who are listening out there, if you're wanting to know the right way to grow your business, gosh, go to these guys. Okay. They are the best out there. And I know that because I work with them.
Well, appreciate that, Brian. And with that, I got one last question for you. What's the one piece of advice you can give to employers that can help their employees get better in their life, become better? What's the one, as an employer, what advice would you give to employers that they can give to their employees to improve their life?
Get to know them. Be honest with them and get to know them. Okay. What are their dreams? What are their wants? What are their desires? What are they hoping to get out of working with you? Okay.
That's awesome.
That's a gem.
Yeah, that's a gem. And with that, hey, man, if you've been watching us, every Tuesday we do this. If you want to come on the show, please go to www.greatemployeesmatter.com. We do have a calendar on there. You can book an appointment to talk with us, whether you want to work with us, get on the show. We're open to do that. Like, share, subscribe. Brian, it was great having you on. Like I said, I know you every personally, we talk every day. And so appreciate your wisdom. I appreciate your work, and we're going to make it happen. And with that, if anybody else doesn't have anything to say, we'll see everybody next week.
Great employees matter. Greatness,
They do.
excellence, motivation.
Always
Thank you, everybody.
Hey, catch up with me, Derek. All right, have a good day, guys.